Ladies and gentlemen, I must apologise. I have made a human error. In fact, I've made three. I've been saying for quite some time, and I've just done a little series depicting the number of times that Michael Masi has been race director and has been involved in safety car deployments where lapped cars are in play. So cars have been lapped by the leaders, and then Masi has done the unlapping procedure. I said that Michael Masi, prior to Abu Dhabi, had been involved in 15 occurrences. Abu Dhabi was the 16th occurrence. Of those, 5 of them took place in his apprenticeship year under Charlie Whiting. I can't be sure which ones he was necessarily in attendance with or not. But as I said before, he should have been party to any debriefing of each of them events. So his knowledge of the reasons why the safety car was deployed, the procedures that you go through, and why you do the unlapping procedure and the effect of it should have all been there. And then I've produced videos which are Spain, Germany, Singapore, Russia, Brazil, all in 2019, showing what Masi did there. In 2020, Austria, Eiffel, Emilia-Romagna, Sakhir, and then in 2021, Azerbaijan, as evidence of what Masi has done with deploying the safety car and then what he's done with the lapped cars. But where I've gone wrong is I've missed 3 occasions. 3 occasions which ultimately got red flagged, and that's why I've missed out on them. But it's the same process, and I'm going to show you exactly what was done. So, the first of the 3 that I missed out was the 2020 Tuscan Grand Prix. This is what was happening. Lewis Hamilton was in the lead of the race. If you can see him on track, I'm trying to wave my cursor at Hamilton's green looking dot. He's at turn 15. If you go back towards turn 14, there's a burgundy dot of Kimi Raikkonen, who is in 12th position. Then it's Bottas in second, and a bit further around the bend, just the other side of turn 12, is Romain Grosjean, the last running competitor in this event, which means Lewis Hamilton has lapped both Kimi Raikkonen and Romain Grosjean. Valtteri Bottas has lapped Grosjean. Okay, pretty straightforward. So what happens is this.
Making any inroads on Russell. Mainly Charles.
Oh, someone's had it off, and into the gravel they go. And we just look now to see as the dust clears. I think that is Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll has stopped at Arrabbiata 2 as the 2 Ferraris about to have a little.
So there's a situation occurred that causes a safety car. I'm going to chunk it forward a bit, but you're aware that lapped cars are in situ. The reason I've shown you that the fact that lapped cars were in play, and I've done it on tracker view, is because on data view it's a bit of a strange one at this
as the 2 Ferraris are.
It's not the standard data view that you normally see. Within each sector they've got little mini sectors, so, and it doesn't list the fact that a car has been lapped. So I had to show you that on tracker view. I'm going to pause it and fast forward to sections of the footage which are clearly going to depict what's going on.
2 Ferraris about to have a little duel out on the track. The safety car now comes out because Lance Stroll at Arrabbiata 2 has had an off. And
I don't know if it was a puncture or a failure with it heavily loaded on those curves, but that car will take a bit.
That car that's behind Bottas is Grosjean by the looks of things. It could be Raikkonen, I don't know, but it's certainly not Daniel Ricciardo.
Bit of recovering. It's very old school circuit here, and also they've really got to put that conveyor belt back up against the tyres.
They've red flagged again, so a second red flag.
So the race has been red flagged. So how do we restart the race after a red flag? Let's have a look.
Here are the bare facts before we get our third start of the afternoon. Lewis Hamilton on pole position for the restart, or we'll just have a look at Kimi's entry. There's the lights. The safety car goes on. Is there anything to stop Kimi doing that?
Yes, you've got to go between the two white lines.
So let's have a look at this bit. Listen to Crofty with the bare facts.
In which case then, I think we might see a penalty coming Kimi Raikkonen's way. He and Roman Grosjean will be allowed to the front of the queue, by the way, to then unlap themselves, so to speak, so they're not interfering in that restart. It's an easier way to do that. Right, so Lewis Hamilton.
So they're not interfering in the restart. Is that the bare facts, and is that the correct reason, Crofty? Or once again, are you just chatting shit?
Hamilton won the inaugural race at Austin in 2012 and in Sochi in 2004. In 2014, he also won on the return to Paul Ricard in 2018. He's got good form, Martin Brundle, at winning races at tracks.
What can we hear now with that engine in the background?
We've never been to before, or we haven't been to for ages. Valtteri Bottas never won on his first visit to a racetrack in Formula One. But Valtteri Bottas, from what we've seen so far, we've now had 2 standing starts, is clearly in the best position when the lights go out.
Yeah, and don't underestimate. I mean, they probably haven't got the speed to win the race thereafter up against the Mercedes, but Ricciardo and Albon, Perez.
Boring. Let's try and send it forward a few seconds. I thought they were just about ready to release. Clearly not. Where are they? Where are they? What are we looking at? There they are. Look, what's going on here? What is going on here?
He's very good at starts as well, in 8th place. His team boss is expected to get super keen and contest a few more places. And then you've got Charles Leclerc. We know he's very good at starts as well, in 8th place. George Russell's got Sebastian Vettel to try and hold off to maintain that 9th place. Grosjean and Raikkonen, the lapped cars, are in 11th and 12th. They might still fancy a points finish, of which Grosjean hasn't got one since Hockenheim last season.
So what's going on here then? It's a red flag. They're stopped. But they're being sent off to make that lap up. Okay? Rather than just be dropped back to the back of the grid, like Martin Brundle says all the time, which he's wrong about. Okay? They've been sent off. Why is that? Why have they been brought to the front and then released, sent round there to join the back of the pack? Why? It's not so they don't interfere with the race, because you could quite easily just shove them to the back. There's a reason. There's a reason why they are released, made to cover that ground, cover that distance, okay, to make it around the back of the track and the back around the track to the back of the pack. That is all concerning fuel load of cars, not to be left a lap behind when they shouldn't be, because they were still challenging Vettel, Russell, Leclerc, which are all ahead of them. And you can't now drop them a lap behind them, because they weren't a lap behind Vettel, Russell and Leclerc. And you can't enable a safety incident to put them a lap behind them competitors. So they're released. They're made to catch the back of the pack, and then racing resumes. Let's have a look. Let's have a look.
A time for calm heads. Just keep the heart rate down. Just keep it all together. And they're the 2 lap cars that are going to be released to come back to the back of the pack. Lap cars were told to go to the front of the queue. And that's how they sort it out when you're all lined up in the pit lane and you leave from the pit lane, so the fast lane of the pit lane.
And what does it do?
Why is that, Martin? Why is that? You know, can you give me a clear explanation in the manner in which I articulate this? Are you able to do that?
For a driver having this many interruptions during the course of an afternoon as well, they've had to spend long periods behind the.
Oh, so you're not actually talking about that, are you? You don't make it clear to fans, do you, exactly the purpose of this? I'm going to do a separate video altogether to clearly explain to you what is truly going on, because clearly there's fools in the comment section that still don't get it. I could explain this 100 times, and there'd be primary school children that would get it. In fact, I could explain it 2 or 3 times, and the primary school kids would get it. And yet there's people with YouTube accounts that like to comment that don't seem to get it. There's a bit of a problem there, kids. There's a bit of a problem. Maybe you should have gone to a special needs school, because you've clearly got special needs.
Safety car, they've spent long periods either out of the car or stuck in the pit lane. Is it easy to switch off, and then how easy is it to refocus once again?
No, I think your mind's still reasonably focused on it. Obviously your adrenaline and your heartbeat is going to come down.
Leclerc's Ferrari set us off down at
Just applauding his potential shoey, I think, on the podium. Potential. But I hope he is.
So, look at now. Lewis Hamilton, the leader, is going out for this formation lap. Let's have a look what Kimi Raikkonen and Romain Grosjean do.
Anyway, so a race is limited to 2 hours within a 4-hour period. So we've got to get this underway and finished. We've still got 49 minutes remaining to do these last 14 laps.
Let's finish what we started.
yes, quite like the shoey. He's a third place man on the road at the moment, but by no means a shoe-in for the podium, because he's got Alex Albon, Perez, Norris behind him, all who could have a foot on that podium come 59 laps.
Often you hear one of those things on the rev limiter. So
there they are, look, the correct race order. First down to the final remaining competitor, which is Grosjean in 12th. The correct race order has been restored prior to going racing again. Can you get it yet, kids?
yeah, very calm behind the wheel, isn't it, for Daniel Ricciardo? As soon as he can, he's got victories. Bottas.
Previous race in Valtteri Bottas, the rolling.
I don't know. Clearly not driver
As well. Other than Max Verstappen was on the podium as well. And then, as Martin pointed out, the battle between Hamilton and Bottas, 1 and 2 in the championship, and we're just over halfway distance, aren't we, for this season. Bottas needs to start making a comeback now. Plenty of time to reel his teammate in, but he needs to make an impression. And Carlos Sainz watching on from the McLaren garage, one of several drivers who were out of this race a long time ago. Esteban Ocon was one of those as well. Verstappen, Gasly, Giovinazzi, Magnussen, Latifi, all out before the first lap really had ended here. Lance Stroll, the last driver to go out of this race. We got 12 left.
I'm nervous in the pit of my stomach.
So, how are we resuming racing? In the correct race order, with equal spacing between each competitor, sporting fairness to all competitors. Each competitor has the same ability to attack the car that's in front of them, but is susceptible to attack from the car that's behind them. This applies in both restarts like this, which are static restarts, or safety car restarts. The minimum regulation is that in order to achieve that, in order to attempt to achieve that on a safety car, what do we call it, a racing restart, where the safety car pulls in and they go racing again, that these release cars are given the minimum of 1 lap with which to catch the back of the pack. Okay, you don't have to give them more than that. However, if they have dropped back more than they were previously behind the competitors that they were challenging, you will find that the race director keeps the safety car on track to enable them to catch up and get within the amount of time that they were previously within on the driver they were previously competing against. That's the way you do it. And I Criminal Evidence Act. So, that's the first one. That's the Tuscan Grand Prix of 2020. It began as a safety car incident that then got red flagged. And then, before resuming racing, they released the lapped cars. They formed up the correct order, first through to the last remaining competitor, and then they went racing once again. So yet another example of Michael Masi as race director, demonstrating that he knew the rules and knew the purpose of those rules. 2 more apologies to come.